The invisible guest. The night was all glamour. Fine wines, glittering dresses, important people. A charity gala filled with smiles that knew their angles and applause rehearsed like choreography. No one noticed the man who arrived on foot, wearing worn-out boots and a work-stained jumpsuit. His name wasn't on any list. He didn't wear a suit, nor did he carry a last name that echoed in the city's hallways of influence. He just stood there, quietly, as if waiting for permission to exist. Some whispered. Others laughed. Security approached, ready to escort him out without asking anything, but fate has its own sense of irony. And what that man carried wasn't just dust from the road. It was the reason they were all gathered that night. What happened next would shift the atmosphere of that polished room and leave a mark far deeper than any donation ever could. Because sometimes the loudest message comes from silence, and greatness wears work boots. This may look like an ordinary story, but trust me, it's anything but. Before we dive in, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more powerful stories. Now let's begin. Chapter 1. The Forgotten Guest. No one paid much attention when he walked in. His boots were dusty, his grey jumpsuit marked by long days on the road. He had a quiet posture, the kind that doesn't demand space, just enough to pass unnoticed. He stood there for a few seconds, near the entrance of the grand ballroom, as if questioning whether he truly belonged. Inside, the atmosphere was almost sacred. Crystal chandeliers, waiters gliding like ghosts, laughter in controlled doses. The wealthy chatted like old friends, even if some had only met that night. The evening was a gala for a prestigious charity organization, attended by business people, artists, and politicians. And then there was him, Elias. Just a truck driver, or so it seemed. Some eyes noticed him and quickly turned away. Others stared, confused, then whispered to nearby guests. A woman in a silver dress covered her mouth to giggle discreetly. A man in a tailored suit commented aloud, "Who let the delivery guy in?" Security approached with the mechanical precision of those used to removing the out of place. But Elias raised a hand calmly. He reached into his pocket and handed the security guard a small folded card. It was simple, unpretentious, an invitation with his name printed in gold letters. The guard hesitated for a moment, checked it, then nodded. Let him in. And so Elias entered. But the room didn't welcome him. It merely tolerated him. He was led to a distant table near the back, alone. The dishes passed him by more slowly. The waiters barely spoke, and the conversations at nearby tables flowed as if he weren't there. He didn't look offended. He didn't speak a word, just sat with dignity observing. On the stage, speeches began. Applause rose and fell in waves. Names were praised, donations announced. The room lit up for the privileged and dimmed for the rest, until the presenter's voice changed tone. "We'd now like to reveal tonight's largest anonymous donor," the host announced, glancing at a small card in his hand. "This person requested no recognition, no photos, and no applause, but we believe silence can't hide greatness forever." The room quieted. His contribution allowed us to build an entire new wing in the children's hospital. And tonight, "He's here," murmurs, necks craned, eyes scanned the room. The host cleared his throat and read, "Mr. Elias Tavares." The silence was instant. Then thunderous. The same people who had mocked, ignored, or avoided him now searched the room in disbelief. The man in the jumpsuit remained seated, head slightly lowered, hands clasped in front of him. He didn't stand. He didn't smile. He didn't look around, waiting for validation. He had come because he believed in the cause, not for claps, not for status, not for redemption, just because. Chapter 2. The presence that shook them. For a few long seconds, no one moved. It was as if time had cracked. The image didn't match the expectation. Elias Tavares, the truck driver seated alone, wearing dusty boots and calloused hands. He remained, still, avoiding the eyes that now searched him with urgency. Some out of curiosity, others out of shame. He hadn't stood when his name was called. He didn't bow or wave or nod. His silence was as deliberate as it was powerful. The host, slightly uneasy, tried to keep the moment going. "We would like to respect his wish to stay anonymous," he added quickly, "but we thank him from the bottom of our hearts." Applause finally came. First timid, then stronger. But it wasn't the kind of applause that celebrates. It was the kind that hides embarrassment, that tries to rewrite the moment, too late. At his table, Elias remained untouched, not out of pride, but because he didn't need the noise. He had made his decision long before the gala, long before the marble floors and sparkling glasses. People began to approach him. A couple tried to talk. A woman asked where he worked. Someone else asked if it was a publicity stunt. Elias gave short, respectful answers, without much detail. He was not there to explain himself. An elegant man, clearly a sponsor of the event, came forward and extended his hand. "You've done a great thing, Mr. Tavares. Please, allow us to invite you to the board." Elias politely interrupted him with a quiet gesture. "I'm not a businessman," he said, finally speaking. His voice was low and warm, like someone who speaks only when it matters. "I just deliver." "What needs to arrive?" The man laughed, thinking it was modesty, but Elias didn't smile back. He looked toward the stage, now empty, and added, "There's more than one way to build something." That sentence hovered in the air like smoke, slow, dense, impossible to ignore. Somewhere in the room, a journalist took out her phone and searched his name. Nothing. No website, no interviews, no photos, just a few registry documents showing that Elias owned 3 trucks and a small delivery business based on the city's edge. It didn't add up. How could someone like him have donated that amount? And why? Rumors began to spread. Perhaps he inherited the money, or maybe he was the face of some bigger operation. Someone whispered, "He must have won the lottery." No one considered the obvious, that Elias had spent a lifetime giving quietly, saving silently, and choosing to act when it truly mattered. That week, news about the anonymous donor circulated in columns and blogs, but Elias refused interviews. He didn't want the story to be about him. He had something else in mind, something still hidden. Chapter 3. The Voice. No one expected days passed, and the story of the unknown donor began to fade. The gala was old news. People returned to their routines. Other headlines took the spotlight, but something had changed. The organization received an unexpected email. It was from Elias, simple, direct. He asked to meet with the children and staff at the hospital he had helped fund. No photographers, no speeches, no one else. The foundation director hesitated, but agreed. A few days later, Elias arrived. Same boots, same jumpsuit. He walked through the hospital hallways like someone who had seen pain before, but respected it. In the new wing, the walls were still smelling of fresh paint. There were colorful drawings on the glass, and nurses smiling through exhaustion. Children ran between IV poles, laughing in bursts of energy that defied their conditions. Elias stood in the doorway. One child, no older than 8, approached him holding a toy truck. "It's like yours," the boy said, smiling. Elias knelt down. "It is," he answered, his voice almost a whisper. They talked for minutes. Then another child joined, and another. Soon Elias was sitting on the floor, surrounded by kids, telling simple road stories that somehow lit up the room more than any chandelier had. From a distance, doctors and volunteers watched, quietly moved. Later, that day, a nurse asked him why he never told anyone who he was. Elias thought for a second, then said, "People listen more when you speak with your actions." And that's exactly what he did next. In the following weeks, anonymous donations began arriving. Medical equipment, books, new beds, all from different senders, but with one thing in common. Each package carried a handwritten note, "For those who build without applause." The story of Elias began to spread again, but not through gossip columns. It traveled through doctors, teachers, truckers, and parents, real people who saw in him not just generosity, but dignity. A reminder that worth is not worn in what you dress, but in what you deliver to the world. The gala never invited him again, but the hospital gave his name to the new wing. No plaque, no statue, just 3 simple words above the entrance: the silent builder. And from that day on, many who had once judged by the surface began to look again, not at clothes, but at presence, at quietness, at the weight of kindness. Because in a world obsessed with being seen, sometimes the ones who matter most are the ones who simply show up. Was that ending what you expected? Drop a comment and share the biggest lesson this story left you with.